Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Dear students, I welcome you all to this 3 credit hours course on research methodology and design of experiments. This course is basically for both UET and Qaid-e-Azam students. So that's why you see two course numbers in the slide, EMCM 8005 and EM 5106. I understand that both of you are from UET, so we'll obviously have a little more stress on this course on engineering related part of the research. Obviously, this course is basically to help you undertake your MS thesis and perhaps later in your life your PhD thesis, so that will stay there. But when we are doing examples, when we are doing software work, we'll probably be focusing more on the engineering part of it. So this course has two parts basically. One is research methods and the second is design of experiments. So what's the difference? The difference is that the research method is pretty broad. We'll soon learn what research is, but whenever you are to answer a question that has scholarly implications, you have to do research for it. It can range from purely social research to advanced technological researches. So what research method does is it kind of takes you through a formal process of doing all that. And the second part is design of experiments. While you can design experiments for anything, but mostly design of experiments would be concerned with very quantitative versions of research, and even within that it is very widely used in engineering. So we will soon learn a lot more about all this. So I'll go through some formal contents of the first day of any course with you, and then we'll move on to actually learning the first part of our course. Okay, so about the team that will be helping you throughout this course, we'll be facilitating you with your studies, with your if you're doing a particular research. With that, we'll walk through uh, practical researches. Both of you would be doing them individually. So I'll be the instructor come facilitator, because you'll be doing most part of it. I'm Nadeem Qureshi, and you can see my email address right there on the slide. Then Miss Kamna Anam is our teaching assistant. You can see her email address too. I understand that both of you already know her because she's a senior PhD student at CASE, and you're both the members of a group that we've made. Then the program manager, Mr. Sakhawat Riaz. I'm sure since both of you are senior MS students, you must be knowing him too. Our class is on Thursdays 6 to 9 p.m. So regularly the class is supposed to be conducted at our B17 campus. So whenever you're planning to come for the class, you must build in enough traveling time if you're coming from Islamabad or any other city nearby. For any reason, if you cannot attend the class, you'll be getting a recorded lecture and you'll be getting the notes. You can go through the lecture, you can read the notes, you can uh, contact me, the teaching assistant, through emails, through telephones, or whatever suits you, and we'll be happy to facilitate you in all possible ways. All right, so here's a bit of introduction about me, the instructor. It is customary in postgraduate courses to introduce the instructor so that it is kind of established that he's standing on the right side of the rostrum. I'm a mechanical engineer. I've done my bachelor's from NED University of Engineering and Technology, Karachi. I have quite a bit of experience with the mechanical industry, specifically the marine part of it. I've worked extensively in propulsion. For propulsion, I've worked on gas turbines and on boilers too in older days. Then I have a lot of experience with power generation. I've designed, installed, and maintained, run powerhouses of some 5-6 megawatts in these kind of powerhouses. Then I've worked in the service side of engineering. Services like supply of energy, supply of gas, supply of water, supply of refrigeration, and all those things. Then in the later part of my career, I moved on to the management part of engineering. So I did my master's and then PhD in engineering management. My master's was from the same institute that you are doing it from CASE. Similarly, my PhD was from CASE, and it had a component of research at the Michigan State University, USA. I have some professional certifications which are flashed on the slide, like PMP, the Project Management Professional Certification, then the Balanced Scorecard Master Professional Certification, the Six Sigma Black Belt Certification, ISO Lead Auditor, Risk Management Professional, and then a few more. Currently, I focus rather, I specialize in strategic management, performance management. I work with organizations to design their performance management systems, to translate their visions into objectives and then into KPIs for departments, for sub-departments up till the individual level, and then managing this complex network of KPIs that collectively work together to achieve the mission. Of course, there's the software part to it too. So we manage strategic management softwares as well, where dashboards are made for executives, which are basically uh, a collection of a logical system of scores that are generated by the lowest level by individuals, and they kind of add up uh, in a lot of ways that then populate the dashboard. Probably we'll talk about that too in this course at some point in time. I've published quite a few papers. This slide says 41, perhaps a few more already this year, and I've authored a couple of books too. Then I have some memberships of bodies that concern the areas that I work in: PMI, QPSP, the Quality of and Productivity Society of Pakistan, the Asia Pacific Quality Organization, Asian Network for Quality, Strategic Management Society, etc. So that should be enough about me. Now about this course. Uh, as I told you, this course has two parts, but its fundamental aim is to help you go through smoothly with your MS thesis or any research question that comes your way in your life. You should be able to handle it in a formal, structured way that is consistent with the research standards being followed in the world. So it will be a step-by-step process, and it will help you understand the contents of each step that is undertaken in a formal research. For example, the first thing you do is you find yourself a good research question. Then what you do is you read about it and you position your question within the existing literature that has been published about that question. So formally we call it the literature review, and it has got a lot of details which we would study. And after that, you have to make a decision as to what would be the best approach to answer that question. We formally call it the research design. So you'll understand what kind of research designs are available and what design would best suit your question. Then, of course, there's a lot of questions that come your way when you're doing research, uh, which have ethical implications. So you learn what those questions are, what those concerns are, and how you would satisfy the greater scholarly community that you've done your research in the best practices of ethics. Then you'll learn how you uh, gather the data that is needed to answer your questions, and from where would that data come. Then you learn how to analyze that data, on software otherwise, and then finally what you make out of the data that you collected, how you read and comprehend your results. Of course, the final step is then to share your results with the world. And how you do it in the shape of your thesis, you do it in the shape of research papers, reports, maybe you present your work at conferences, at events around the world, etc. So we'll go through this course in these steps. Uh, what you exactly need to know before starting this course, not too much. Uh, if you have undertaken any organized problem solving previously during your job or your life, that should help you, and you'll naturally adopt to these steps of research. If you have basic knowledge of statistics, that should help too. We'll use the Minitab software. Uh, of course, I'll be introducing you to it, and you'll be going through it on your own time too, to get used to it so that you can use it for analyzing your data. All right, so now the objectives of this course. I suspect that you already know a bit after I've told you about the course and myself and the way, the steps that we'll be going through in this course. But formally, the first objective is to help you go through your MS and PhD thesis in a smooth manner. Then the second objective is to understand the basic concepts that are related to research and go through those steps in a logical manner. The third objective is to understand the higher studies part of research, what all steps are involved in that. Then understanding design of experiments, then understanding qualitative and quantitative research processes, how they are different, what particular problems they are designed to solve, in which situations qualitative helps you answer your questions in a better way, and in which situations quantitative helps you solve your problems in a more logical way. Finally, we'll be using Minitab. So one objective is to help you understand how to use Minitab for your research. The next part of this outline is the detailed distribution of contents of this course. You all know that we have 16 sessions in this course. It means we'll have 16 classes of 3 hours each. So during the first week, which is today, we'll basically be discussing what research really is, how it is different from other ways, other non-scientific ways of answering questions that we see on television and in so many other media every day. In the second and the third week, we'll be focusing on literature review. We'll see what kind of literature is available and how we effectively search for the literature that is relevant to our research question. Then we'll see what separates good literature review from an ordinary one. In the fourth week, we'll be kind of refreshing your knowledge about statistics, and we'll kind of have an introduction to the design of experiments. Then in the fifth week, we'll be learning about research questions, how we carve out questions, how important it is to have clear and well identified research questions, and how this practice helps you go through research more efficiently. Then in the sixth week, we'll be discussing hypotheses and research designs, which will be followed by sampling theory. Maybe this part would kind of go into the next week too, perhaps more than 1 week. After that, in the 7th and 8th week, we'll be focusing on design of experiments on Minitab. That will be that will be it for the midterm part, because after the 8th week we'll be having midterm. So till midterm, you would have learned design of experiments. After midterm, we'll have 3 classes for the detailed quantitative research methodologies, the steps that are involved in quantitative research, and how do we collect data and analyze quantitative researches. Then the next 3 classes would be about qualitative research similarly. Finally, we'll move on to the limitations of each of these types of researches, and we'll understand which one suits which situation better. And finally, in the last class, we'll be discussing how a thesis is organized and how you design the way through which you go through different steps to complete your thesis successfully. Okay, so next is the grade distribution. Uh, I'm sure you have had similar distributions in all the courses that you've undergone at CASE. For this particular course, the final exam would have 40% of the weightage. The second column actually shows the UET weightages, so that is what both of you should be concerned with. All 3 components other than the final exam, they'll have 20% weightages, and they are number 1, the term project. Then assignments and quizzes, this is kind of sessional, so it'll be assignments and quizzes and your performance in all other class activities. And then the midterm exam, that is 20% too, so that totals up to the 100% that you'll be awarded out of for your grades. About the class participation, I expect that whenever you can, you will contribute to attend the sessions. Of course, when you have emergencies, when you have an issue, we understand that, and we'll make sure that you get the content that was taught in the class through videos, through notes, through all the sources possible. Since all our sessions are a combination of lectures and discussions and case studies, workshops, group work. So if you miss a class, you should actually get in touch with your class member, the other class member, or me, or the TA to find out what all we went through and cover it up. Since you're 2 students only, so I don't expect many problems in the conduct of our class, but the rules are that we adhere to social norms such as decent dress, respect for other participants, obviously when you are discussing things and other stakeholders, abstinence from smoking and having food, etc. in the class. Of course, you can have casual food, but not formal dinners, etc. in the class. And you should not be using cell phones. Of course, there's always an emergency clause to everything, so I understand that. And we'll also try to focus our discussions on what we are learning. All right, so now the parts of your grading, the first part, the research project or the case, you'll both have to complete a project each through this semester, and that will be 20% of the marks that you'll get in the end. Of course, we'll in second or third week, or maybe up till 4th week, after we've learned the basics of this course, you will be finalizing the topics on which you will be doing this research. The idea of this research is basically to live this subject that you are going through. The step that we'll be learning in a class would be the step that you'll be doing on your topic. So it will be kind of a hands-on project that you'll be learning how to do it and doing it in the next week. We'll have 3 progressive presentations about your project. The first one would be in the 4th week. It would be a topic defense kind of thing where you'll convince us that you've chosen a good topic. If you cannot choose a good topic, we'll surely give you a topic that would be workable in the 16 sessions that we have. Then in the 8th week, which would be right after midterm, you'll be presenting your progress, the initial progress, which would be identification of research questions and the literature review. And finally, in the 12th week, you'll have the 3rd presentation, which would be by that week, I expect that you should have collected a bit of data and analyzed it too. And if there are any issues with your work, we'll point that out, and you'll have another 4 to 5 weeks to correct it. Assignments, which are again assignments and quizzes, they make up 20% of the marks. We will have 4 assignments, and similarly we'll have 4 quizzes too. We won't have those formal quizzes where you'll have to kind of leave your books and stuff. Not that kind of quizzes. The quizzes would be based on some research papers that I'll be giving you. You'll be reading them, and then you'll be giving there'll be more of assignment come quiz kind of thing rather than being the classical quiz. Then the final and midterm papers, they'll be taken as per the policy of UET TechSlab. For the computer tools, we'll be studying 2 tools. One is the Minitab statistical software. It is actually the tool that we'll be predominantly using. And secondly, we'll introduce you to NVivo. NVivo is basically used for qualitative research, so we'll be doing it when we reach the qualitative part. There are a few books and journals that I'll be referring to during this course, so you should I understand that our library has hard copies of the books, and it has access to the soft copies of the journals, so you should have no problem getting these books and getting access to the journals. If you have any problem, you should contact Ms. Kamna, and she should be able to help you. The first book is the famous Social Research Methods book by Newman. Then the Collis and Hussey book, Business Research. Then Research Methods for Business Students by Saunders. Then again the famous book about case studies by Robert Yin. Then Design and Analysis of Experiments. This is specific for the DOE part by Douglas Montgomery. Then Intermediate Statistics by Pelham. And then there are 2 journals that we'll be referring to. One is the Journal of Business Research by Elsewhere, and Organizational Research Methods by Sage. The teaching methodology, as we've discussed already, we'll be using diverse methods. The idea is to transfer knowledge to you by all the possible ways, and for that we'll be using presentations, class discussions when we have a class, case studies, group research, and scholarly papers that will be given to study, analyze, and give feedback on. You can have a detailed look at my profile on LinkedIn. You can see the page of my LinkedIn profile on the slide. If you have any questions, you can get back to me. And finally, we've made a Yahoo group. The address is rmdoe-case-sp19. You can see it on the slide. You should join this group as soon as possible, because we'll be sharing notes and lectures and papers that we'll be studying and other helpful material on this group. Uh, we'll be announcing our quizzes and assignments and other things about this course on this group. So it is really important that you join it and you keep looking up for updates on this group frequently, perhaps daily would be great. So finally, we'll make every effort to make this class a source of learning for you, and with your participation, with our efforts, I'm sure this course will be a great source of achievement for you as well. And you would really learn how to go through a formal research process, how to conduct the research, how to write a good thesis, and finally how to publish your work. Of course, that's a personal achievement when you are able to write a paper out of your research and get it published on a forum that is of importance to you, perhaps a journal, a conference. It could be anything. So that was all for the outline part, for the introduction of the course part. Since this class was conducted without you, the students, so of course there were no questions, but I'm sure you'll have questions when you see this video. So please feel free to write to me, to talk to me, to talk to the teaching assistant, write to her, communicate through the WhatsApp group, the Yahoo group, phones, emails, whatever you like, and ask any questions that you have, and I'll be really happy to get back to you in details that you require. So looking forward to getting your questions. Thank you, and you'll hear me soon in the next presentation video. Thank you.